All right, guys. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you get value out of this training today, feel free to share with your friends. Let's go ahead and jump right into things. So to start, these are in no particular order, and this was made by special request as something that I found has helped often more than the application of how we go out and get money traditionally. So if we start to shift our beliefs, it then usually leads to a shift in action, which would radically change how money starts showing up for you. So here's one of the first. Average people believe that you need money to make money, where rich people use other people's money. Linear thought might tell you to make money in order to earn more. And the rich aren't afraid to fund their future from other people's pockets. Rich people know not being solvent enough to personally afford something is just frankly not relevant. The real question is this: is this worth buying, investing in, or pursuing? How about this one? Average people believe the markets are driven by logic and strategy, where rich people know they are driven by emotion and greed. Gosh, aren't we seeing that in the markets right now? Investing successfully in the stock market isn't just about fancy math formulas. The rich know that the primary emotions that drive financial markets are fear and greed. And they factor this into all trades and trends that they observe. So when they're investing, when they're trading, whatever it is with money, they're using the primary factors of emotion to make their decision, not getting pulled into the emotion. This knowledge of human nature and its overlapping impact on trading give them strategic advantage in building greater wealth through leverage. Average people live beyond their means, where rich people live below theirs. Here's how to live below your means and tap into the secrets wealthy people have used for centuries. Get rich so you can afford to. The rich live below their means, not because they're so savvy, but because they make so much money that they can afford to live like royalty while also having a king's ransom stocked away in the future. I can't tell you how many influencers and people around money talk like this. They say, take a third of your income and invest it, or start at a young age and invest $25 or $100 a month. But just because you have the shiny car doesn't mean you have a lot of wealth. Just because you have a big house doesn't mean you have a lot of wealth. Right? There's a lot of fabrications, and I would even call it kind of an illusion of wealth that we can put on, right? The fancy clothes, the big house, the car, where really everything's financed, we're in debt, and we've got nothing stocked away in the bank. That is not wealth. Average people teach their children how to survive, where rich people teach their kids to get rich. Now, there might be some stuff coming up with you around this, whether you were raised a certain way or whether you're raising your kids a certain way. But the fact is, rich parents teach their kids from a very early age about the worlds of haves and have-nots. Many people have argued that this is supporting the idea of elitism. People say parents are teaching their kids to look down on the masses because they are poor. This just frankly it's not true, guys. What they're teaching their kids is to see the world through the eyes of objective reality, the way society really is. If children understand wealth early on, they'll be more likely to strive for it later in life. How many of us as parents, when our kids asked how much something cost, we thought, oh, well, that's none of your business. Or how much were the groceries? Oh, you shouldn't know that. Or how does this work? And we maybe out of our own laziness, we kind of push them out. But the reality is, when they get up and they get older and they're massively in debt, they don't know how to pay their bills, they don't know how to budget, and we kind of wonder why. It might have something to do with how we're raising them. Average people let money stress them out, where rich people find peace of mind in wealth. The reason wealthy people earn more wealth is they aren't afraid to admit that money can solve most, not all, but most of life's problems. The middle class sees money as the never-ending necessity evil that must be endured as part of life. The world class sees money as the great liberator. And with enough of it, they are able to purchase financial peace of mind. Average people would rather be entertained, or rather entertained than educated. Rich people would rather be educated than entertained. While the rich don't put much stock furthering wealth through formal education, they appreciate the power of learning long after college is over, or going to college at all for that matter. Walk into a wealthy person's home, and one of the first things you'll see is an extensive library of books they've used to educate themselves on how to become more successful. That may be less prevalent today as books have become digital, but the reality is they surround themselves with valuable education, education that is applicable, not education that's regurgitated. The middle class reads novels, tabloids, entertainment magazines, and I would even go beyond that and say their entertainment lies in the same places. Average people think rich people are snobs. Rich people just want to surround themselves with like-minded people. The negative money mentality poisoning the middle class is what keeps the rich hanging out with the rich, right? It's the negativity, it's the victim mentality. It's like you don't want to be around that because it actually creates the thing that it's complaining about. Rich people can't afford the messages of doom and gloom. This is often misinterpreted by the masses as snobbery. Labeling the world class as snobs is another way the middle class finds a way to feel better about themselves and their chosen path of mediocrity, or I would even say victimhood. Average people focus on saving, where rich people focus on earning. And this is a really interesting concept. The wealthy focus on what they'll gain by taking risks rather than how to save what they have, like holding on so tight to what they have that there's no hands to grab onto the abundance that's available. The masses are so focused on clipping coupons and living frugally, they miss major opportunities. Even in the midst of a cash flow crisis, the rich reject the nickel and dime thinking of the masses. They are the masters of focusing their mental energy where it belongs, and that's on the big money, the big ticket. Average people play it safe with money. Rich people know when to take risks. And I'm not saying at the gambling or the casino, right? Leverage is the watchword of the rich. How can I leverage this? How can I get more buying power out of what I currently have? Every investor loses money on occasion, but the world class knows no matter what happens, they will always be able to earn more. Average people love to be comfortable. Rich people find comfort in uncertainty. For the most part, it takes guts to take risks necessary to make it as a millionaire. A challenge most middle class thinkers aren't comfortable living with. This idea of risks and uncertainty. It's like, I want to be comfortable. Physical, psychological, and emotional comfort is the primary goal of the middle class mindset. World class thinkers learn early on that becoming a millionaire isn't easy, and the need for comfort can be devastating. They learn to be comfortable while operating in a stage of ongoing uncertainty. And the reality is, the world is uncertain. The reality is, this is what's always going to be happening. Average people never make the connection between money and health. Rich people know money can save your life. While the middle class squabbles over virtues of like social Medicare or these like government subsidies or handouts, maybe their company's health plan, the super wealthy are enrolled in a super elite boutique medical care system. Some wealthy neighborhoods even have implemented this strategy and even require a physician to live in the neighborhood. Average people believe they must choose between a great family and being rich, where rich people know you can have it all. It's not one or the other. In fact, I would say that construct is a belief of the rich as well. It's the belief of narrow thinking versus broad thinking, like having an open mind, seeing opportunities and possibilities. This falls into the same category. The idea that wealth must come at the expense of family time it's nothing but a cop-out. The masses have been brainwashed to believe it's an either or equation, one or the other, black or white. The rich know you can have anything. that you want if you approach the challenge with the mindset rooted in love and abundance. Average people's actions are easily manipulated by fear and greed. The rich people know fear and greed are signals of something to step into. Like fear and greed is an indicator, you could even say, for those of you who are traders. The average person reacts the same way they have been trained around fear and greed. When they have fear and greed, they're trained like the ape. They're trained like the Neanderthal, that there's literally a saber-toothed tiger coming at them. But the reality is that part of our brain is hyper-reactive, right? We fight through it or we run from it. Where rich people, they learn how to train this part of their brain. Rich people examine their fear and greed and look for what to step into. They actually see the fear like, oh, there's not an actual tiger over there. This is something I get to step into. The rich know fear and greed are obstacles to getting what they want. They know that there's actually no tiger. There's no saber-toothed tiger over there. And it's just an illusion. Average people make decisions on how they feel. The rich make decisions based on reality. The average person thinks how they feel has something to do with what they are doing. The rich have closely examined and studied their feelings and know that they are just fleeting, right? You wake up one day, you feel a certain way, and you have all these beliefs, and the next day you feel a different way, and all of a sudden the world looks completely different. The rich know in reality they can feel one way and have completely polar results as long as they are committed to the end goal. And I think this is where intentionality really plays a role. I call this having grit. Grit is like that inner position where you do it even when it doesn't feel good because you know the long-term benefit. Average people think the grass is greener on the other side, right? Rich people know they're rich people in every field. They just know that. There's rich people on this side of the fence and on that side of the fence. The average person is always looking for where the grass is greener. They believe that they could always take their level of skill and make it somewhere else, like make more of it on the other side. And they just forget to water the grass beneath them. The rich focus on personal growth and exceeding past failures, like going past them. Rich people know whether they go, wherever they go, really, they will always hit their internal ceiling and focus mainly on those breakthroughs. So they just know, like, if I'm on that side of the fence, I'm gonna hit a ceiling, and that's an indicator I get to break through that. On the fence I'm at, I'm gonna hit a ceiling, that's an indicator I get to break through that. Not, this is, again, right, the fight or flight thing. I get to run from my problem and hope that over there it's going to happen. It just doesn't work that way. You will hit the same level of problem over there as you're seeing over here. Average people think money is the root of all evil. Haven't we heard this? Rich people believe poverty is the root of all evil. The average person has been brainwashed to believe rich people are lucky or dishonest. That's why there comes some certain shame with getting rich in the lower income communities. The world class knows that while having money doesn't guarantee happiness, we all know that, it does make your life easier and more enjoyable. Average people think selfishness is a vice. Rich people think selfishness is a virtue. And it's just a play on words, but just try this on for a minute. The rich go out there and try to make themselves happy. They don't try to pretend to save the world. The problem is the middle class people see that as a negative, and it's keeping them poor, right? How often do you hear that someone gets rich and then people start blaming them and going, well, they should solve world hunger and they should do this and they should do that. And it's like, well, when's the last time you did that? And frequently, their ability and what rich people do to help people is far beyond what the poor can do because you just frankly can't give what you don't have. If you're not taking care of you, you're not in a position to help anyone else, and you can't give what you don't have. Just repeating that. Average people have a lottery mentality, whereas rich people have an action mentality. And this is no question why the lotto does so well. While the masses are waiting to pick the right numbers, and praying for prosperity. The great ones are solving the problems. The hero, middle-class people, are waiting for maybe God, government, their boss, their spouse. It's an average person's level of thinking that breeds this approach to life and living, while the clock ticks away the same speed and pace for me as it does for them. And not to mention, and I'm sure you've heard this, people who win the lotto, even if you get lucky and you're one of a million who do that, are often worse off down the road than they financially were before winning. And it just because, again, this is why this is so valuable. This is why the mentality and the beliefs around the rich is actually what allows you to get rich and to keep it. You throw someone without these beliefs with a ton of money, they're just going to squander it, right? And even be worse off than they were when they started. Average people think the road to riches is paved with formal education. Rich people believe in focusing in their inner position, and we'll talk about what that word means. But coming from someone who is a college dropout, I can't agree with this more. Many world-class performers have very little formal education and have amassed their wealth through the acquisition of their personal way of being and subsequent skills. They work on them, personal development, and the acquisition of their personal development. Meanwhile, the masses are convinced that the master's degrees and doctorates are the way to wealth, mostly because they are trapped in this linear line of thought that holds them back from higher levels of consciousness. The wealthy aren't interested in the means, only the results. We don't care if we have a DR or a PhD next to our name, unless it justifies the means, unless it adds zeros to my bank account. Average people avoid stress and pressure. The rich embrace it. And the best example of this is how diamonds come from coal under immense amount of pressure. The level of experience you have acting and moving towards your goal while under pressure is directly correlated to your success around money. The average people build a life that pads them from being under pressure. It's like, how can I figure out ways to have less pressure? There's always this conversation about how I can have less stress, where the rich embrace it and strengthen it like a muscle. How much could I endure? I wonder if the level of stress or the level of pressure I'm allowing, if I'm hitting a breaking point. Or I'm wondering if maybe I'm not even getting enough healthy stress and enough healthy pressure. Because like diamonds, great things come from stress and pressure. Average people take pride in the truths, and that's in quotes, they know. The rich know they know nothing. I want to say that again. Average people take pride in the truths they know. The rich know they know nothing. The rich know the most dangerous truth is the one they know. This is an interesting concept, and I'm going to pause for a minute. It's like the most dangerous truth is the one you know that just ain't so. You guys have heard that? They know that what they want exists in reality, that they haven't manifested yet. It's like what they want's out there, someone else clearly has it, so they can go get it, but they just haven't manifested it yet. So therefore, to have or be somewhere you are not, one must drop what they think they know to change all of it, to change at all, to even begin on the path. Average people long for the good old days. Rich people dream of the future. Self-made millionaires get rich because they are willing to bet on themselves and project their dreams, goals, and ideas into an unknown future. People who believe their best days are behind them rarely get rich. They often struggle with unhappiness and depression. You know, how many friends and people do you know who are stuck in their high school good old days? You know, like, oh, I used to be on the high school team and we won this champion. It's like, you're 40, you're 50 years old now. Don't get stuck there. Like, your best years and days are ahead of you, even still. Average people see money through the eyes of emotion. Rich people think about money logically. An ordinary, smart, well-educated, or otherwise successful person can be instantly transformed into a fear-based, scarcity-driven thinker whose greatest financial aspiration is to retire comfortably, right? It's kind of the embedded American dream. The world class sees money for what it is and what it's not, through the eyes of logic. The great ones know money is a critical tool that presents options and opportunities. Average people quit or change when what they are doing doesn't feel good. Again, this feeling thing, and how average people really dictate a lot of what they do to their feelings. Where rich people keep an eye on the prize. The average person thinks that how they feel will change what they are doing. They allow their body to control their mind. They are irrationally they act irrationally and are undisciplined. This is usually an internal defense mechanism that is designed to keep you safe because change is dangerous. Or at least when we were Neanderthals and lived in cages, right? Or lived in caves. The rich study and understand their mind. They actually learn about it because they know this is an obstacle. They know that change is an obstacle that gets in the way of their success and their progress. They know when it's overreacting. They know when it's trying to help, but actually not. And what I mean by that is we have a certain part of our brain that's designed to keep us safe, right? It's the lizard part of the brain. It's the oldest part of the brain. And it's fine that it does that. If a bus is coming and about to hit me, thank goodness I jump out of the way. But we really don't live in a world where we're faced with that kind of danger every day. And so it's like, thank you, brain, for being there for me, but you're a little hyper-reactive. And when I'm dealing with something that has nothing to do with a train coming at me or a saber-toothed tiger coming out of a cave, we really don't have anything to worry about. Average people set low expectations so they're never disappointed, where rich people are up for the challenge. Psychologists and other mental health experts often advise people to set low expectations for their life to ensure that they don't get disappointed. No one would ever strike it rich and live their dreams without huge intentions. There's just no way you're going to get there without having your goals and aspirations in the cloud, where I believe they actually belong. Average people believe you have to do something to get rich. And we're going to contrast some words here. Rich people believe that you have to be something to get rich. That's why people like Henry Ford go bankrupt, then rebuild the most popular car company in America, while the masses are fixated on doing and the immediate results of their actions. The great ones, they're not doing that. They're learning and growing from every experience, whether it's a success or a failure, knowing that their true reward is in becoming this human success machine that eventually produces outstanding results. That's a wrap up of our 26 beliefs of the rich. This is obviously something that you can go through and rewatch. What I would do personally is identify the ones that rung the most true, that you actually in reality or as lived don't apply, and create something new for yourself. Create a symbol or a reminder to remind you of this truth or this thing that you woke up to today. Maybe write a statement or a sticky note and put it in your bathroom or on a board. Maybe get a dry erase marker and write it on a window or put it in your mirror. But the application of this, just hearing this, guys, will not be enough. You've got to keep reiterating these beliefs because you have lived a lifetime living the other ones, and they're so deeply ingrained that when you start releasing them and you start upgrading these beliefs to a beliefs of abundant thinking, you will see how just that shift in your beliefs with no extra energy, no extra time in your day, will actually start resulting in a more abundant and rich lifestyle. All right, thanks so much. Thanks for joining us on the Market Pulse podcast. Next week, we will catch you here, same time, same place, and we will be going over our national real estate review next Friday as we get the data in. So thanks for being here, and you guys all have a great weekend.